All right, welcome to another episode of the TalkBGKY podcast, the official podcast for the city of Bowling Green. We're back with another episode focused on Parks and Rec. We know those are everybody's favorite episodes because we have the most fun getting to share what we do in the field of Parks and Rec and serving our community. And today's episode is extra special because it's not just focused on the city, but we've got some of our friends and colleagues from Warren County Parks and Rec joining us today. I'm going to talk about what we do together to serve our city. We've got some fun storytellers on the air today that we may go off the rails a little bit, but it's all going to be for your enjoyment and ours as we kind of sit here and reminisce and show how thankful we are and grateful to be Parks and Rec professionals. So I know we're going to enjoy making this episode, and we certainly hope you all enjoy listening. So I will go around the table. Again, I'm Cameron Levis. I should have introduced myself first. I'm the recreation manager for Bowling Green Parks and Rec, and then I'll go to my left, and we'll go around the table and do introductions.
I'm Madison Duncan. I'm the Adaptive Recreation Supervisor for Bowling Green Parks and Rec.
You've been working with the city for how long?
Part-time and full-time about 7 years.
Awesome. Moving on.
I am Chris Cummer, Director of Warren County Parks and Recreation Department. Started out not many years ago, several years back, got my start working for the city, and then have had a really great experience working for Warren County over the past 25 years, and excited to be here today and thank Cameron and Maddie and the city crew for letting us be here.
Awesome. And last but not least.
I am Ryan Petit. I am the Special Projects Coordinator at Warren County Parks and Recreation. But Cameron, you know I like to be silly, man. I like to tell people when they ask what I do, I say I am a member of a superhero group between the city and county that brings happy, healthy coping mechanisms to people for the stressful lives they have ahead.
Let's go.
Yes, that's what we do, right?
Is that on a plaque outside your office?
It's a giant business card I carry with me everywhere.
I love it.
Bumper stickers.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like a poster board.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Does it fit in your pocket?
Barely.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Well, no, we're super excited to have this crew on here. You know, we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. You know, the partnership between Warren County and the city of Bowling Green is second to none. You know, I think for communities, I honestly think we're an example for other municipalities and communities across the country on what it looks like to not focus on government lines and serve independently, but really come together to serve our community in really impactful ways. And so super excited to talk about some of the ways that we do that here in your community when it comes to parks and recreation. But first, I really want to dive into everybody's background. You know, one of my favorite things about this podcast and being able to help host some of the episodes focused on our parks and recreation departments is just learning about the people, you know, that make everything happen every day. So I'll start with Maddie. You know, Maddie, just give the listeners a little bit, as much as you want to, from a storytelling perspective about your start, you know, how you've come to work in Parks and Rec and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah, so I started as a participant in our adaptive recreation program. I did wheelchair basketball for about a year, and then I got on part-time with adaptive recreation, then known as Special Pops, and I just slowly fell in love with it and loved working with our population and all the people we serve in parasport and Special Olympics. And I went to Western and got my degree in recreation, and then I went full-time in 2021. And so I have loved it ever since.
Awesome. That's great. Ryan, what about you? How'd you end up in this world?
Ooh, that's tough. Firstly, I wish I knew more about this career earlier in life, but I don't make the rules. I just go along with what I got.
There's so many people that say that, by the way.
Totally. It's so fun. So yeah, I'm originally a South Florida product, Miami kid, and I have done so many different jobs. Once in Bowling Green, I was running my own businesses. I had a monument lettering business. Then I ended up with my bike shop that some of you may know. And then I was managing the ice rink downtown for a few years until I finally jumped on board with the county. Leah and Chris had talked to me about joining the county, and I said, yes, let's do it. So that's kind of how I got into this. And ever since then, with their guidance, I've learned a whole lot. And then working with you guys across the city has been amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, like I said, I mean, there's so many people that our world of parks and recreation that just, it's often said that people stumble into a career in Parks and Rec. Some of us are fortunate that we've known about it our entire lives, but a lot of people stumble into that world. Sometimes later in life, sometimes, when they get to college, they'll, do a small student worker job at the local campus rec center and then be like, wait a second, like there's people that actually do this for a living.
Right.
And so all of us that are in the world of Parks and Rec, whether we've come into it later or whether we were born into it, we're all just grateful for what we get to do on a daily basis, because we truly get to, you know, be a part of changing lives and making our community better, which is awesome. So
fun.
So Chris, you know, I saved you for last, obviously, because our start in Parks and Rec is somewhat similar. You know, we're fortunate to have been born into the world of Parks and Rec a little bit. And so touch on that a little bit. How did you end up in this world?
My story kind of starts, my mom and dad, I was born in Iowa City. And then shortly after that, my dad was a professor, had worked out at University of Utah, worked at a former college up in Iowa called Parsons College. That is no longer there. But during the course of mom and dad venturing out with their lives, dad was a recreation professor, had an opportunity here at WKU at Western within the profession. And at that time, WKU had one of the strongest recreational programs in the country. And so we moved here when I was super young. And so Bowling Green's been home to me. I'm 50 years old. Have been here pretty much my whole life, minus about 6 months at the very beginning. But went to Dishman, went to Bowling Green High, grew up with recreation kind of embedded in my soul. Mom and dad were really involved in the community, doing different things. Dad up at Western with the rec department. After school at Dishman every day, we would go down to AMW, which was right there by Lampkin Park. We had my crew, we'd be on our bikes, we had our little mugs, and for about 6 or 7 years, you know, we would cruise down there on our bikes and get our root beer floats and then hang out at the park and then bike back up to Western to see Dad for night class and hang out in Diddle, and just how different have times changed over the years, you know. But being able to grow up with a father and with a supportive mom, really valuing kind of the quality of life component within our community, and to really be able to see how recreation's developed in Warren County and Bowling Green over those years. And being able to have worked for both organizations, both the city of Bowling Green and then Warren County, to be able to have that experience in my professional career has been just super awesome. And to be able to see where we were, you know, 25, 30 years ago and where we are now and where we're going to be in another 25 to 30, and to be part of that story and to work with wonderful people like Ryan and Cameron and Maddie with all teams, both on the city and the county side. It's just, I think, a true testament to how strong this community is. And I think it is a role model and example for other successful municipalities to be able to model, because I think all of us in this room put, you know, service before self, as Judge Gorman would say. And that's a critical piece. And when you have professionals that are vested in that, I think the outcome is pretty amazing. And so I'm just super blessed and ready to tell some stories.
I love it. Yeah, and I mean, it's super cool for myself and Chris to be sitting across the table from each other, you know, because my grandfather taught with Chris's dad, Dr. Cummer, and then my grandpa, Dr. Little, taught together for years in recreation. And I don't know that my grandpa got here in 1971 to teach at Western, moved from North Carolina. Many people recognized him for his North Carolina drawl all the time, and he would usually start stories with, you know, back when I was a parks director in North Carolina. A lot of people always quote him on that, but he was here in 71. Not sure when. Do you know what year?
I think Mom and Dad got here about 72, 73.
Okay.
And I remember, you know, your grandpa, he was Uncle Alton.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
I mean, that's how we grew up. And I mean, we would go to your grandma and grandpa's house, and like we would hang out. Your mom babysat me for years. I mean, so I mean, I think that connection, both that professional connection, that personal connection, is really, if you look at the recreational family as a whole within Bowling Green and Warren County, it's so interconnected. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one of the really cool pieces just in this room. You know, Maddie's dad, Jay, is on our advisory council. Your mom and my dad are interconnected between the two families, you know, in both the professional and the personal piece of it. And so I think the recreation story in Bowling Green and Warren County is so dynamic, and it's so cool, because there's been personalities that have been together for 50, 60 plus years.
Crazy.
And it's been kind of like the foundation for what we are all able to experience right now, which is really cool.
It really is special. And I, you know, from our family's perspective, I don't know that 50 years ago, you know, when they moved to Bowling Green, if they would have said that we'd be sitting across the table doing a podcast together talking about today's world of Parks and Rec. I know now my grandpa up in heaven and your dad and from Wisconsin are probably shaking their head with a lot of gratitude and just thankful that it's all full circle and it's really cool. And my mom with Maddie, being connected to Jill Farmer, who is a dear friend of Maddie during her time at Fraser Rehab. I mean, there truly is. There's just so many connections within the world of Parks and Rec that when you sit back and you think about it, I mean, it's a fun story to be a part of, and it truly is amazing. And the reason that matters to the community is you all can take rest in knowing that like there is a deep care, for what we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for both your grandpa, Dr. Little, my dad, Dr. Cummer, they were on the advisory council or advisory board for the city for many years, and to be able to see what both departments have been able to do in the past 50 years. And I can speak on the county side for the past 25, as I remember when I transitioned from the city to the county side, just because of opportunities, and professional growth, is to be able to see 14 employees 25 years ago and to see 103 county employees now absolutely crushing it and succeeding, not just like personally, but professionally within the profession that we're in, and to see the creativity and the innovativeness and the out-of-the-box thinking as our community grows is like, it is so exciting to be a part of something like that, to see Ryan and Leah and Maddie and Cameron and the entire cross team work together on adaptive projects or Duncan Hines Festival or whatever it might be. To be able to see just the energy level of all those involved is it makes you feel great about what we have and to see where we have been, and then also to be able to see that vision of what's in the future. And I think both city and county government are so blessed, and it's the citizens that are really blessed to have two proactive governments that aren't just thinking of today. They're thinking well beyond the current year, and they're thinking 15, 20 years down the road of what this community is going to look like. And that's just a testament to leadership at all levels and the commitment that all employees within both our departments are doing to take it to the next level. I think it's just it's amazing to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
No, it's super cool. And the last thing we'll keep talking about it, I'm sure, but one of the things I always like to say about Western WKU has long had such a connection, to what happens off campus. So much of what we do, Parks and Recreation today, is because of that recreation program and the feeder system of professionals that have come out of there and impacted our state, but our community. It wasn't just my grandfather, it wasn't just your dad, it was folks like Miss V, that was focused on therapeutic recreation, and a lot of what we do in adaptive recreation today is because of the work of Miss V and all that she did for people with disabilities. Chuck Kroom, many of you all know Chuck Kroom Nature Park. You may not know that was an actual person that taught in the recreation department. The four professors were often referred to as the four-leaf clover of recreation because they were truly giants in the field. Chuck Kroom, not only was he a recreation person, he was an incredible artist, nature artist, and actually is the one that designed the red towel, which a lot of people don't realize, which is super cool. And we stand on the shoulders of those giants now, in what we do, and not just them, but so many other people that have worked through our departments, both county and city, for years. And I'll never forget, just kind of pulling us into where we are today. Cummer Little, of course, the recreation center on College Street is named after my grandfather, Chris's dad. I always refer back to the day that it was open. My mom didn't pull me out of school. I was a junior in high school. I was a freshman in high school. I'm still kind of mad about that I didn't get to come to the ribbon cutting. But I'll never forget one of the things that my grandpa said that day, outside of the fact that him and your dad were probably cutting up about like whose side looked better on the building. He left everybody with a quote that this day means a lot to me and Biff, but at the end of it, it was in the Daily News. But at the end of the day, please continue to do what you need to do for recreation. And that may sound simple, but that's a call to action. Totally. It's like this building being named after us doesn't matter. Like, but please continue to do what you need to do for recreation, because they understood, and so many people before us understood, like just how essential recreation and parks and sport is to the livelihood of a community. We all say it all the time. I mean, obviously we're fighting for budget dollars all the time, but we consider ourselves to be right up there with public safety, with public works. You know, we want our community to truly value parks and recreation, especially as we grow. And so my grandfather's words that day, and then, you know, everything else is truly a motivation, I think, for us in what we do every day, just ensuring that people can benefit from Parks and Rec.
It's a proven formula. I mean, you look at metropolitan, urban, rural departments across the country, and you can get data through NRPA and their yearly performance evaluations. As you look at those cities and communities that really have strong recreational departments like Bowling Green and Warren County, and you look at those communities, and 9 times out of 10, those communities, when you look at them and you break them down and you see what they're offering, not just in regards to basic essential county city services, but what they have for their citizens to do, right? Because buildings and places are only as good as the people that occupy them and that are in them, and that make up that internal story. And so I think the creativity, the innovativeness, the support of county judges and mayors, both current and in the past, I think have really been able to set those stories by getting strategically effective personnel and effective programs and things that the public wants to be able to have fun here. And I think that's a hugely important piece when you look at how to rate certain communities across the country, is where do people want to be? People want to be where there's fun, there's activity, there's good education, there's good employment opportunities. And I think Bowling Green, Warren County, we have that here. And I think that's a really big equation when you evaluate, you know, businesses come and go, but you know, we're all citizens here. We're all living in this community. We all see it, but we're so blessed because we're also the ones that have a small piece of this broader story. Yeah. And I was there that day that the Cummer Little and Center was dedicated. And, you know, one of the big things I remember was Dad was there. My mom was there. Dad came up, and I had recently, in working with Phil Moore, the former director of Warren County Parks, who we could do an entirely separate show on Phil and bring him in here.
Another giant.
I mean, just a huge. He was the founder of current day Warren County Parks and Rec. And when Phil started, you know, he had a budget of maybe $10,000 and a station wagon, and Judge Griffin was like, "Get out there and crush it, Phil." And so Phil did. But to be able to work for Phil and to be able to work for both Judge Gorman and Judge Buchanan, and to be able to see partnerships that they have created, and to be able to be on that internal side, to see that fostered, it really kind of showcases, I think, our county, our community, when it comes to what is here to offer. And Dad told me at the dedication and the opening, he said, "Son," he said, "you know, make sure you're always doing good and you're always servicing the community as a whole." And that's what those founding members of recreation in our community, they kind of set the standard. Yeah. And it's our professional obligation and responsibility to push that forward, and to not be afraid. And I always tell our crew, I'm scared of complacency, and I want to be at the edge of the seat looking for the next thing. And that is, to me, that's the excitement of being involved in what we do, because there's always something new. You know, 5-10 years ago, what was spike ball? You know, who would have known, right? And you know, what is, you know, highlight? You know, different things, different experiences. You know, foot volleyball, which is big in Asian markets. Like, who would have thought that 25, 30 years ago? And we have a community of 100+ players. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to see the spectrum of what we offer. So
do we even dare touch the continued trend of pickleball?
Oh, you said it. You said the
I
word.
did it. Oh, no. Yeah.
Picklepalooza. That's another joint thing we could do. You know?
Everything. Yeah. No, I think Chris is right, you know, and I love the way that he put it. It truly is our personal, professional responsibility to continue the work of the folks before us. And we talk so much about the growth of our community and, how fastest growing city in the state of Kentucky, fastest growing county in the state of Kentucky, we know it's not going to slow down. And that's a testament to, I think, the work of the folks in our department and what we do. This is a fantastic place to live. People
Absolutely.
want to be here.
Yeah.
But we think about 50 years from now, you can't go back necessarily and create some of the things that we know are important in the world of Parks and Rec. And so it's important for us to be having a conversation like we do and be at the table now, to be talking about preserving our green spaces, conserving those, natural areas for people to enjoy so that we can develop them later into future parks or, future natural areas for future programming. And we need to be thinking about those trends. And that's kind of what we do. We are 1,000% prepared, to be a part of those conversations moving forward because we know just how essential what we do is. And I want to talk about real quick too, the Kentucky Recreation and Park Society. We were, of course, honored to, receive Department of the Year at this year's conference alongside each other. And I want to get everybody's thoughts on, kind of what that means. What does it mean for us to be recognized together? Because I think that's unique. It's so many times in our communities, we're recognized as individual departments for the work that we do, but there was value in us being recognized together for that award. And so I just kind of want to get everybody's thoughts and everybody to chime in on what it meant for our department to receive that recognition and what you think that represents.
I mean, I'll jump right in.
Go in.
I love the recognition. I mean, we all know, everybody here at this table knows how hard we're all working on what we do for this community. We love the community. We all understand we're goal focused. So how opportunities happen are not as important as that they happen for the community. So we make it happen. We reach across the board. We work together. And I do think it's important, as much as we have our heads down, we're working. Recognition like what we've recently seen at KRPS is a big deal. It lets us know we're on track, we're doing the right thing, and when other departments are taking notice, I think both departments, at least for us at the county, I can say we've gone back and said, man, we're doing something right. We're doing a lot of stuff right. Let's keep going with it. But I also want to touch on the outside the box that Chris mentioned because he's all about that. I don't know how many times I've heard that in meetings.
No doubt.
I've gone into meetings, just me and Chris, and told him about some updates of programs I'm running and events I've got coming up. And it's all the typical same, for lack of a better term, boring stuff. And he'll stop and say, Ryan, what are we doing outside the box?
There you go.
Give me some of your outside thoughts. What's the next big thing you want to see happen and why? And tell me, which community population is going to benefit and more. So I love that we got the recognition. It gives us all of that little bit of a boost that we needed to know that we're doing the right thing, but also going right back to the drawing board and see what else we can do.
Yeah, that creativity and innovation and
Yes.
really thinking with imagination. I know Ryan's I think that's what sets us apart is just how creatively and innovatively we think as departments when we work together and when we work independently. In serving the people that we do in the community that we do. But Ryan's a South Florida guy. He mentioned that. So I think it drives him crazy when I talk about Disney. But I love Disney when it comes to just imagining new things. And I actually saw today, I need to go read the full article. I sent it to my email that Imagineers, as part of Disney, helped just design a new community park in L.A.
Amazing.
And I'm like, awesome. That's freaking awesome. Yeah. Like, let's bring them here to work with us. We need to do a training. Yeah. But the reason I say that, as much as I do love Disney, the reason I say that is it's a testament to creativity and innovation. And honestly, that's what keeps us going. When Chris tasks you with thinking outside the box, a freedom thing as a professional, right? Because that's kind of the joy of being in Parks and Rec is like, man, when we're designing a playground or coming up with a new program, like we get to think like a kid again.
Yes.
And honestly, as professionals in the field of Parks and Rec, we're, in my opinion, we're not harnessing the power of Parks and Rec if we don't channel that inner child and take
point.
us back to, thinking, with that fun lens and that lens without limits, in many ways when it comes to planning play. And so hopefully as we continue to have this conversation and you all are listening, I know me and Tim Kickert, who works in our department, in our parks maintenance, we had a whole episode about playgrounds. And in that same way, I hope it kind of takes you behind the scenes and puts you in our mind for a little bit And again, I hope that's an encouragement to our community that, behind the scenes of what we plan and do is a lot of dedicated professionals that have a ton of fun with what they do.
Yes.
And that should channel into the way the community enjoys parks and recreation. But I want to continue to get thoughts, if any, from Chris or Maddie on the award and the recognition and what you felt like that meant for your all's departments.
I think it's just kind of like what Ryan said, just a true testament to how much each of our departments love our community. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who we're serving. As people in the city, we serve people in the county, vice versa. Just how much we love our city and how much we love what we do. And having that recognition is just a good way to show us that we're doing a good job, but also a good way to show our community that, like, hey, we just love you all this much that we want to do all that we can to serve them.
Yeah, no, very well said. I think that's awesome.
I think it also is a reflection of the leadership of both city and county government to have the ability, and so everybody has egos, right? Everybody has their wheelhouse. I think in order to receive an award like this, the leadership at all levels have to be unified in the ultimate mission. And I think one of the beautiful pieces about the relationship of Warren County Parks and Bowling Green City Parks is, number one, we're actively engaging with each other with conversations so that we're not duplicating services, and we're maximizing the services that we both do well to better serve the public as a whole. And I think that's a huge thing, is we take the talents that we have within our professional ranks. We take our joint resources that we are blessed to have through the tax-paying base of both the city and the county, and then we're fostering that leadership from the highest level, from Judge Gorman to on the county side, his willingness and ability and support that he gives our department to be able to say, hey, be creative and get out there and let's do this thing. It's just it's a super cool thing to work for a municipality that fosters the innovative piece, but then is also that service before self mentality. Because when you truly implement that and put that together, like, really amazing things happen. And so I think that just this award just kind of jointly shows that commitment from the leadership level down to every single component of each department, both of our departments, is that commitment to provide just that exceptional service to our constituents. And how can we do it the best? And the best way to do that is to work together to foster our strengths. And then when there is an area that we're like, hey, we need to figure out a way to make this happen, to me, that's the fun, challenging piece, is if we get told no, then that's okay. But then the creative component is like, okay, how can we maneuver around the no to get a win? And it may not happen today or tomorrow, but how can we make this program successful? If we don't have the funding, what are community partners? What's a strategic network that we can mutually share to make this happen? And I think all of us in this room, we could go through stories of exactly that. And to be there, a lot of the time it's quiet. A lot of the time the public probably has no idea that we're working behind the scenes to jointly provide these quality events and activities. But I think when you have leadership and you have commitments from both governmental agencies to foster that networking, then that's truly when government operates the best.
Yeah.
I think you see that at all county levels and city levels, everybody working together. It could be fire, it could be police, could be road, could be parks. I think we're so blessed in our community to be able to have those types of relationships across the governmental board. And so I think that's an important piece to success. And I think that the award just kind of showcases what's working right here within Warren County and Bowling Green.
Agreed.
And that's why this is such a wonderful place to be within the state. And I think that's probably a reason from a broader national level that we're on the map. Bowling Green, Warren County, we're not just on the regional southeast United States map. We're on that national map. People know who we are and where we are, and they know our community. And so I think that's our fun job, is to make sure that we stay attractive and we stay modern and contemporary and open, but then also never forgetting the roots to where we all started and what the foundations of the community were kind of built on in regards to municipal recreational service. And I think we all foster that kind of mentality.
No, very well said. And I think, alluding to what everybody's mentioned, I think at the end of the day, we would be remiss. We're four people representing two different departments talking about this departmental award right now, but the people, obviously, in both of our departments, that made this award possible, so many. I mean, from within the city and within the county, from parks maintenance to our landscape crew to our cemetery crews to athletics to our community centers to special projects and programs, the senior center that, Catrice runs, to I'm going to miss people, but on your all side, Jade and Brady over on the west side of our community doing what they're doing, and back to us with adaptive recreation and our administration crew and our fitness crew. I mean, almost 70 full-time individuals on our side, close to that number for you all probably, and then hundreds between our two departments of part-time and seasonal workers, in the summer with aquatics for us and summer camps and the Thrive program. I mean, it goes on, the people, but at the end of the day, I mean, what we want people to know is there are so many people in our departments that give their time and effort 300, I always say 364 days a year, just because, we like to give ourselves one day off, maybe.
We're 365, Cameron.
Yeah, that's right.
We're 365.
But 20, but 20, I'm going to give Maddie a day off.
Okay.
But 24/7, just so much time and effort, and it's never in vain. Like, our folks show up every day.
Yeah.
With such dedication, with such passion, and really what they're trying to do. And I've always summed this up based off what my mother and my grandfather taught me as Parks and Rec professionals themselves. But what we get to do on a daily basis is just love other people. We get to love people.
Yeah.
And we get to love them well. And that's what all the folks in our departments do through their jobs is they just love their community.
Agreed.
And that award is such a testament to them and the work that they do and the dedication that they have for the community. And so it's an honor, as I've said, that Department of the Year award, it would have been silly for us to receive that as the city without, doing it alongside the county. And so it's always great to stand with you all and be honored, be recognized, for what the people in our departments do on a daily basis. And it's an honor to, serve our community alongside you guys. So
Agreed. Big award. Well deserved.
I think Warren County and Bowling Green, I'm biased, but I think we have the best recreation professionals in the country. I think commitment, you could put both of our teams up against larger municipalities throughout the country and smaller. And I think you would be hard-pressed to find a community with the dedication, commitment of our teams. And they're there 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, because a lot of people don't realize that when you come out and play, there is that whole piece of we got to get everything ready so everybody has a good time. So
right.
There's endless tournaments and events and a lot of unspoken time, 2, 3 o'clocks in the mornings to make sure things are ready by 6 or 7. Then throw in some weather, some rain, some snow, things like that. I mean, we are all involved in making sure that our facilities are there to provide those great experiences. And so if you see a Parks and Recreation professional on the city or the county side and you see them out there busting on a hot ball field or getting a gym ready, just walk up to them and say, hey, we really appreciate what you all are doing, because a lot of them are young professionals. A lot of them are just kind of getting started. And this profession as a whole nationwide is looking for that creativity and that innovativeness. And so I think the community knowing and being real about how blessed we are. There are communities all throughout this country that want the talent that we have, and
for sure,
I think there's a lot to be said with that. There's departments around the state, I think, that look at our two departments and are kind of like they've got the secret sauce, like what's going on down there. And I think the commitment and being able to look at the service spectrum of how can we both mutually benefit the citizens that we serve, because every city taxpayer is a county taxpayer, and the majority of the people that live in the city at some point within a 12-month period are participating either at the pool or at a city park or a county park. And so most people that I talk to are just like, we love our parks department, but do you know you have two? And they're like, no, we just thought it's just Parks and Rec, man. And I was like, yeah, it's Parks and Rec. I said, we're so blessed. We have two great places.
Yes.
But being able to tell our stories, and when we're able to tell our stories together, that's when, like I've said, that's just when the amazing stuff happens. And so we're just honored, and I'm just so blessed to work with 103 county parks employees that are family and that absolutely crush it every day, and to be able to work with the city crew, with Brent, Cameron, and everything that you all are doing, and Maddie, being able to work together. I hate to say it, but sometimes it's not like work. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I've always said like Parks and Rec jobs are the best on the planet
So fun.
because you get to. I mean, what other jobs can you come into and go work on a ball field, or go be part of a program, or go to an event, and being as involved as you want? Because I think every opportunity that we've had within county parks, if somebody wants to try to help out or be a part of it, we're like, yeah, let's do
Make
it,
it happen.
you know? And so, and we feel that openness with the partnership with the city is that's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I want to transition into, we've talked about our partnership. We've talked about, the stories, and we could do so many episodes.
Days and days.
Raina's sitting over here helping us, do this podcast and all the amazing work she does to highlight what we do. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, we could have like 10 other episodes doing this. But I want to get into like specifics so that the community gets an example of one of the ways of many that we work together. Chris has talked about, there's lots of times that we're sitting at the table and we're planning and coming together, both departments, so that we don't duplicate services. But, one of the best examples of that, in my opinion, has been the work that we do through our adaptive recreation division, the city side, but partnering with the county and bringing them alongside us to make those things happen. We're unique. Our community is unique, and we've talked about it some on other podcast episodes, and you may have heard us on the news mention this before, but what we have with city parks and in partnership with the county to have a dedicated division, 365 days a year for folks with disabilities, ensuring that there's accessible and inclusive recreational opportunities, doesn't happen a whole lot. There's not a lot of departments that dedicate their time and resources, funding towards that. And so we're fortunate, that there's a history, again, towards having that division in our parks department. Again, starting with somebody like Miss V up on campus as a professor at Western Kentucky. Camp Happy Days was started on campus years ago with another professor at Western Kentucky, Charlie Daniels, not the country singer, but the professor at Western Kentucky, helped start Camp Happy Days, and then it moved down to Parks and Rec. And then through the years, just lots of professionals that dedicated their time, towards the adaptive recreation division. Karen Singleton, was a champion of that division. My mother interned in that division before she moved to Louisville and worked for Louisville Metro Parks. Chris got, part of his start alongside Mr. Brent Belcher, our current director, working in adaptive recreation. And so many cool things have come out of that division. And fast forward to today, that division is in a lot of ways the cornerstone of our partnership.
Pretty strong.
Between city and county, because that population deserves that collaboration. They
Agreed.
deserve that attention. And so I want to kind of open up the discussion to just talking about, ways that, we work together through adaptive recreation, and some of where we've seen that partnership strengthen within probably the last 10 years, just on different projects and initiatives. And so I'll kind of open the floor, maybe just talking about why. Let's start with the why, expanding on, what I've already mentioned, the purpose behind that collaboration and what it means to our two departments.
I think one thing, Cameron, is I was so blessed growing up in elementary school all the way through high school. I was in special education classes, and so back in the early 80s, late 70s here in Bowling Green, Warren County, there weren't different individual classes.
Like
You didn't have FMD classes and EBD classes. Everybody was in one special education class. And so, I grew up in a culture and in my world where I was in a learning disability class, but in that class there were kids that had all different types of disabilities and all different types of mental, physical, emotional challenges. And so in my world, that was my normal. And with my mom being a co-creator of Kids on the Block locally, Southern Kentucky Kids on the Block, and being a part of that community and growing up and seeing that, living that, gave me, I think, a different appreciation. And I think to be true park professionals and to be that next level Class 4 Department of the Year, we're here to service all constituents, all vulnerability levels. And I think that we as a Parks Department have to ensure that when we're focused on a service or a program, we're focused beyond just what the normals are, what people might think are the common expectations. And we're here to service everybody, no matter where they are in ability level, in emotional, mental health level. That's part of our mission. That's what we're here to do. And so I think being able to have the experience as a young professional, being hired by the city with Dr. Sims and Karen, and being a special populations instructor under Brent Belcher, who Brent, he and I went to school together and up at Western, and he was one of my first bosses. And to be able to walk those 3 years, with Brent and do the Special Olympic spectrum across the board. I want to just tell a quick story. One of my favorite times is we had an actual ski team. So Brent had put together the Perfect North Slopes ski team.
Really good.
And I'm telling you, it was the most fun I've ever had, I think, in my life, because Brent and I would both drive buses, and just driving the bus, we could have a whole show on like driving buses, because there were all kinds of adventures with the buses, like just next level stuff. I'm not going to get into it.
Oh, we know.
But y'all know.
Yeah, we
but but we would go in the ski team. That's where my heart just was like, I've definitely picked the right profession. Like this is where I need to be. To see kids on adaptive sleds, and to see kids dual slalom, going down slaloms, and being there for 3 days, and being able to see the fun, the excitement, the love, and just being a small part of that, and being with the kids that are now all adults, that are still, a lot of them in your all's program. That has been like in my office, I have a picture of when I left City Parks for another opportunity with County Parks. They had a big going away party for me at Ryan's Steakhouse, and we packed the place. It was awesome.
Of course.
And I have a picture of the crew in those Camp Happy Days years, and having the kids at Rowan Bland. I mean, those are some of the best years that I have memories of, because you talk about love, and you talk about compassion for other people, and you talk about service before self. And I say that a lot because that's something that Judge Gorman is really big on, and that really sticks to my heart, because when you do that kind of work and you are there supporting a track and field star, right, or you're there to dance. The dances were a lot of fun too, especially the ski dances. There's so much energy and there's so much love that you just can't explain it unless you're there. And the relationships and the hugs, and no matter if you win or if you lose, as long as you're doing your best and you're crushing it out, just like with our new Bambino League this year. When we've had our first Bambino game, and that's kind of like a challenger baseball program that we started, and Cameron and Maddie, you all were there for a lot of those games, is to be able just to see the energy. It's unlike anything else. It's a really, if you've never experienced that, I would really encourage you to get involved with Cameron, with Maddie, with our adaptive programs that we're jointly doing, and to come out and experience that, to see somebody at Fillmore Park on a bellyac, or to give a water submergent experience to someone that may be a quadriplegic or a paraplegic, but to allow them to have that same sensation in water, and to have the tools to do that jointly together is just something that, unless you're there and you see it and you see that energy, it's so hard to put into words. But I think that being able to partner on the adaptive side, and to really get creative with what we're doing at Preston Miller, with what we've done at Fillmore Park, with the things that we're working on together, even with the ice rink adaptive sleds, I think there's just so much opportunity to expand that out, and to mutually help the constituents that we're trying to serve. And so I think really good parks departments are that total service spectrum place. And I think that both of our agencies are working together to ensure that we never not serve any population, and we try to meet those populations where they are. And I think that's just a critical piece of success and for service. In some departments across the country, because I've been in meetings and I've been to places, some people say that they do that. And it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to go see it and live it and do it and have that compassion and that in your heart, because it takes heart.
1,000%.
And, I'll never forget Brent, Camp Happy Days, and I don't think he'd mind me saying it. I think Brent's awesome. We had some campers, and some of the campers, had feeding tubes, and some of the campers had, colostomy bags, and some of the campers had medical conditions, right? Yep. And so to be able to have staff, and to be able to have people with that heart, I felt like the medical guy because I was that just, I was like, okay, let's do this thing. And I will never forget the kids. There was one young guy in particular, and I was doing a feeding tube, and I was like, man, I'm really worried, And his mom was there, and she was like, Chris, don't freak out. It's going to be okay. And I was like, I'm really worried I'm going to hit him.
No pressure.
And the little guy grabs my hand, and he says, Mr. Cummer, it's okay because I can't feel it. And I can see you, and you're doing it exactly right. But to have, a 10-year-old kid grab my hand as a young professional in the field and say, hey, buddy, it's totally cool. Like, you're doing it right. You're not hurting me, and I love you for thinking, but keep doing what you're doing because we're going to have a great day at camp. And then load him up on the bus and go to, I don't know where we were going that day. There used to be an A-Frame Science Center down here off of, I guess it's somewhere college or state. But we went to the Science Museum that day, and so just those kind of memories are just packed in there, and that's the stuff that stands out. And I'm just so glad that we're able to partner on the adaptive side and to be able to be a part of really cool things that Ryan and Maddie and Cameron and Leah and the rest of Hannah, the combined team are doing to make some really cool things happen in the future.
It really is. And I think that's your answer right there, Cam. That's your why. I think both departments have lots of passion. You hear the compassion that Chris speaks with. And I think that's it. We're all to the point of being bothered when we see slices of our community that are being underserved or special populations that are being forgotten. I think that's where the why is, that passion we all have.
And I think, too, it's like, people can get really comfortable like where they are, and I think one of the things we've done, you all have been involved in that, the library, Warren County Public Schools, is with our outreach program and with our Summer Thrive program, is to take recreation out to kids in apartment complexes, mobile home parks, places to where within a certain demographic area of Warren County, there's 7,500 kids that are not participating, and it's because they can't get out of their urban or rural jungle that they live in, right? Yep. And so to be that next level departments that we are, I think, and I feel strongly, is we have to find a means to get to them. Yeah. And if it means that we do 2 or 3 pop-ups during the summer and we take fun to those kids in those apartments or within those mobile home parks or within those other, more challenging areas, that is our job. And so those kids, those families, those seniors, they deserve that same quality of life experiences as the people that are so blessed to be able to get to our cooler places and our cooler parks and our bigger facilities. Is we have to be together on joining forces to kind of be force multipliers to be able to provide those types of services.
No, I for sure. And Maddie, I want you jump in on this as to what you feel, your why, your purpose is in terms of the adaptive rec program and the partnership and everything.
Yeah, so I think it's just important, like, the people in our community with disabilities, they deserve to have things that they like to go do. They deserve to be able to play sports. They deserve to be able to go to a dance and hang out with their friends and have friends and be joyful in what they can do.
Sure.
And so I think being able to just provide all that we provide for them with different programs. Ryan does things with Med Center Health Adult Day. We do things with them. Just being able to go see them, it brings joy to their day and it brings joy to my day. It's just the best to be able to provide those opportunities to them that a lot of people look and they think, oh, well, they can't play basketball. They can't bowl. They can't do a book club. And just being able to not only us show them that, but they show us,
Well said,
They love book club. They love when I go and read or when we do arts and crafts or our little rookie basketball team we have this year of 8 to 15-year-olds. Half of them can't dribble, and that's okay because they had just as much fun.
They're on the court.
They're not doing well, but they're having fun. And
by the end of the season, though.
Yeah. End of the season, we're going to be not winners, but we're going to be good.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to dribble and walk in a line.
It's going to be plenty of smiles.
Yes.
And I think I'm just sitting here listening to you guys, and it's just such a blessing, to work alongside, everybody that I get to on a daily basis. But I've often said, through my mom, the root of what my mom did, for Louisville Metro Parks, no matter how high she got up in the department, the root of her passion was always adaptive and inclusive recreation. She soaked up everything that Miss V taught her during her time on the Hill, and she certainly passed that along to me. I mean, that's where I got my start, with the city. I've often said that no matter where I end up in the field of Parks and Rec, 1,000% what I learned, and I think all of us would attest to this, what I've learned through adaptive and inclusive recreation and just working with people with disabilities will always probably be the most important influence on my work, no matter what I do in the field of Parks and Rec, or no matter what position I hold. And so I'm sitting here listening, and I'm sort of having a little bit of an epiphany as to why that is. And I think something Chris, something Ryan, something Maddie said that stuck with me is, when I think about people with disabilities, and what I've often tried to say when doing disability awareness programs, encouraging others to volunteer in our programs and be a part of what we do. Chris mentioned that, it certainly does take heart, right, to work with that population. And so many times, and everybody give me a yes if you've heard this before, but in the world of adaptive recreation, so many people tell us, oh, you're such a special person, to work with that population.
For sure.
And I'm like, no, I'm really not. Like at the end of the day, I'm just a person with trying to have a heart for others, and you can do it too. It's like it doesn't take a special person. And the feeling that you get, and what I've always tried to tell people, there's such an absence of like barriers and walls when it comes to the relationships that you have with people with disabilities. There's nothing that exists. There's no inhibition that keeps you from building a relationship with that individual.
No
You meet that person already with vulnerability in terms of trying to meet their needs, like Chris just talked about. The flip side of that, you may think that you're giving, but you're receiving way more than you could give, because the love that you get back from that population is one that it has no walls. Like there's no limit to it. Like the things that prevent us all in our daily lives from building relationships and friendships with other people, the things that we think about, the negatives, anything that holds us back from loving somebody with absolute relentlessness does not exist with people with disabilities. And they teach you that. And I think what I'm realizing is it's that same approach that ultimately we need to have with the community, right?
Yes.
It's not just people with disabilities, but loving our community relentlessly. All of us have learned that from people with disabilities through our adaptive recreation program, and it allows us, I think, to make such a greater impact because we have that perspective, and we've been impacted by that from what we've received, not from what we've given. Because again, like we can show up, and yes, like we show up with intention because we want to meet someone's needs, but what we reap from that is far greater than anything we could bring to the table.
The return on that investment is magical.
100%. It's what Maddie's talking about with this rookie basketball team. Like the joy that they're going to get in seeing these 8 to 15-year-olds take the court and not even have a care in the world if they make a basket or not. In our youth sports programs, we all know that there's people that are going into their third grade basketball season, and for goodness sake, if they don't score 10 points a game, they're going to feel like they failed. Like that's where youth sports is, right? Yes. And I'm talking to all the parents and the kids out there and saying, like, come watch our Special Olympics program, because these kids are going to take the court with absolute joy for the sport of basketball, and they're not going to care if they ever make a basket or even if they make it to half court. They're just glad they're on the court, and we've lost sight of that.
Every game's a win.
100%. Every moment is a win.
When you have compassion and humbleness and respectfulness, and you have the ability to just truly see the joy of people, of enjoying the moment that they have. Yeah. There is no better way to experience life than in those moments. And I think everybody's going through life. we're going to have challenges. Everybody's going to have things come up. But I think one of the beautiful things about the recreation business is I always kind of sell it as we're that place where you can come for an hour or 30 minutes or 25 on a lunch break, and you can shelf all that other stuff for that moment in time. We can be that safe space to take a breath, close your eyes, just take it in for a minute and just live. And if it's sports that you're into, rock it out. If it's walking or running or exercise, biking, whatever it is, whatever the rec is that for each individual person, to be able to come to one of our places or to experience one of our programs, and to be able to go through adaptive programs and experience the humbleness and the compassion, the love, the willingness to succeed despite challenges that most of us are that don't have, but be able to see the true joy that comes out of, who cares if I coach teams with Brent, same teams Maddie and Kat. I have no idea what we won or lost, but I can tell you that every single time we came off that court, off that field, off that track, off that slope, there was joy no matter what the day was. And it was just the excitement of the next time. And it could be the bowling team. I had more fun at bowling. I mean, I think I almost got kicked out of Southern Lanes one time because we were having so much fun. But, I mean, it was just to be able to have those experiences and just to laugh and to cut up. I mean, there's a sense of family. And I'm 26 years removed from my experience, right, with Special Pops, with the city. But 26 years later, I still know all those kids, and I still call them kids.
They still know you.
Yeah, I mean, you truly build that lifelong connection, and that is one of the beauties of life that just can't be explained until you get involved. And I would encourage people to get involved. If you think you're involved and you've never experienced an adaptive sport and an adaptive program, get out there and put that guard down. If you're a little hesitant, go out and volunteer at a Special Olympics event. Go out and volunteer at a Challenger event or a Bambino event. Come be a buddy and walk behind a little lady or a little guy that may be on a walker or a wheelchair, but they hit that ball or they kick that ball, and then run with them, ride with them, support them, hug them, love them, and run the bases. And every time you do that, I promise you're going to have a home run in your heart. And that's the best feeling you can get. Right. And honestly, I think that's why I love this business so much, is it was instilled at such a young, just a critical time in my life, to where I just fell in love with that ability to serve and that ability to help people. And when you're surrounded by professionals that share that same compassion, then that's an extra bonus. And I'm truly blessed to work with our county team and your all city team. And our folks have that same passion, so that's just a cool thing.
The power of our field is when it comes to adaptive and inclusive recreation, it's not limited to the world of Parks and Rec. That's the beauty. Maddie kind of touched on it, earlier in talking about her why and her purpose. A lot of times you can sum up the view that people have of disability as negative. It's limiting, it hinders, prevents. First thing you think of is, that person, there's so many things they can't do. We're able to display the complete opposite, through Parks and Rec, through sport, through what we do with adaptive and inclusive recreation alongside you guys at the county. We're able to shift perspectives. Like, it's not just Parks and Recreation that we're impacting. We're impacting, communities at a social change type of level, and changing the way people view disability. Because at the very least, I always use a simple example. You go down the street, you see a person who's a wheelchair user, or somebody with Down syndrome, with autism, whatever it may be, fill in the blank. There's so many examples. You're going to immediately think about what that person can do. But when you come to our programs, let's say a wheelchair user, for example, you see them playing wheelchair basketball. Well, at that point, you've learned what? They can at least play basketball.
They can play basketball.
And then it opens your mind to so many other things. It's the can beyond the can't, right? The ability beyond the disability.
You were talking about Miss V earlier, Miss Werner. She was absolutely amazing professor.
Star.
Yeah, I mean, but Miss V, in one of her programming classes, she would always challenge the students, and she would be like, everybody has a disability.
Yep.
Like, so maybe mine's more visual, right? Maybe because Miss Werner, she has some physical challenges, but she would challenge her programming class of, look at yourself. And each one of us in this room, we have our own disability. It may not be a physical disability, but if we lack empathy, then we're disabled in our ability to be able to understand, care, and be compassionate. So, I mean, she would break it down in those levels of it's not always what you see. A disability can be greater than that physical attribute. It can be something in that emotional, mental realm. That, have you ever been impatient? Have you ever, not cared about somebody? Have you ever, and so I think really when those words and phrases come out, I think in the world we live in within recreational service, if you think about it, we're all at some level disabled in certain aspects of our life. And who are we to judge? We're there to program and provide and to offer up those unique experiences for everybody. And so I think I will never forget in her class that was kind of a different perspective of like, wow, it's so true,
Oh, yeah, Miss V, she's a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so obviously that was a fantastic discussion on our why and our purpose. I mean, it truly does give the listener an opportunity to just hear our heart behind what we do and encourage them to get involved and stuff. And so I always love to tell this story of Miss V real quick. She had spina bifida, had a prosthetic leg, and she was a character. My grandpa pretty much spent every day meeting her outside Diddle when Diddle had all the ramps on the outside of the building. Now they're on the inside, but he would push her up to that third floor or second floor that they taught on, up those ramps every single day. It's probably why his knees were bad later in life, but they had such a tight connection, just like all the professors did. And I remember her, she would find a hole on campus, and she'd take her prosthetic leg off, put her leg over that hole, and like a student would walk by, and she'd be like, hey, can you help me? Like, my leg is stuck. And then when they would pull her, her leg was missing. And she goes, oh my God, you left my leg in the hole. And that was just her putting those students at ease to say like, hey, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with her. So not only was she a legend of the field, but she was an absolute character that just had such a light for life, and she truly just had such a genuine joy. So I love that we got to reminisce about her today. But let's spend the last few minutes, I guess. We've talked about in encouraging folks to get involved, and let's give them some actual opportunities to do that. Let's talk about some of the programs that we do together. We'll go seasonally here because we've got one coming up that is in a lot of ways Ryan's baby that he takes care of for many months. So let's talk about maybe the ice rink and ways that we partner up over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Soki Ice Rink, SokiIce.com. You can find any stuff. We do plenty of adaptive programs, and I know we've already scheduled stuff with the Adult Day Center, with the Buddy House, with several other groups. And yes, thanks to, again, a partnership with you guys, we have 4 adaptive sleds. Mm-hmm. And when they come out, oh man, you guys have been there for those. They have a blast. And we can have anybody out there volunteer and walk them around in their shoes. We can put the crampons on their feet so that they won't slip on the ice. Or for a lot of these kids, they want to go really fast. So I'll throw on my hockey skates and I will push them around the rink, and they absolutely love it.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Oh, I love it. Maddie, just give a 2-second spiel on what that piece of equipment is.
Yeah, so an adaptive sled is, instead of obviously being standing up and on 2 hockey skates, you're sitting, and the skates are underneath your butt and on like near your feet. Typically you use 2 picks to get around the ice, and when you play sled hockey, on the other side of the pick is the hockey stick. And so it's just a way for people with limited mobility, people that are wheelchair users, to be able to get on the ice.
Yeah.
And not get on the ice in their chair, or not get on the ice at all.
Playing skillet curling.
Yes.
So
yes.
Maddie's an avid skillet curler.
Yes, she is.
I am.
But no, the sled hockey sleds are cool. For us, it's the sport of sled hockey, Paralympic sport. It's a piece of equipment used for that sport. But what we've done is creatively taken that to provide to the ice rink, through different grant programs, through the University of Kentucky that help fund the purchase of that equipment. And instead of using it for sled hockey, which we try to do every so often, they're just used recreationally. It's basically like Maddie said, a bucket seat on a blade that you skate on. And so it's pretty cool to give that opportunity for somebody to be out on the ice. We've been able to impact a lot of people through the use of those sleds. The Bemis family, I always love highlighting that when we first put the sleds out there. Elijah, the older sibling, has played hockey his entire life, and his brother Jonah, that has various disabilities, including cerebral palsy and different things of that nature, always wanted to be on the ice with him. And when we finally brought those sleds to the ice rink, they were able to be on the ice together. And just that moment, one of those magical moments to be able to experience experience that truly keeps us going. So Ice Rink is a great partnership. Our adaptive water sports program, super cool. And that's kind of the outside of just Special Olympics and different things. That's in a lot of ways our more recent partnership. It kind of started with that. We were able to get some adaptive water sport equipment, do some updates at Fillmore Park. Back in 2019 maybe.
I think it was like 2018,
right before COVID. I reached out to Chris and them. It was the second year of this grant through the Wellness Edge program at the University of Kentucky. Really one of the only times you're going to find me work with the University of Kentucky is when they'll give us grant funding. We're Western Kentucky Hilltoppers through and through. So shout out to UK for giving us money, helping us do some of the things that we've done. I reached out to Chris because we wanted to apply for this grant, but they had the water access at Fillmore Park, and it really kind of spearheaded this partnership of them applying for the grant and us starting these adaptive water sports programs. And so Chris alluded to it earlier. We've got, kayaks, we've got water wheels, we've got belly acts, really every level of skill set or introduction or advancement, if you will, into the world of water sports. But the whole point is giving outdoor recreation access to people with disabilities, and super cool. What we've been able to do down at the creek in the summers. We bring the equipment out to Russell Sims, put them in the pool, which everybody loves. So what's your all's highlight, just quickly, on those sensory swims that we do together in the summer at Russell Sims, or even being down at the creek?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Thank you again. I'm glad we partner on that because this past year I know you added several more of those sensory swims, and I did not miss any that I can remember.
Yep.
And they were all.
You get to spend the day at the pool.
Yes, exactly.
The morning at the pool. What could be better?
Yeah, it's so hard. This work is so hard sometimes, Cameron. I have to go hang out at the pool on a summer day.
You channel your South Floridian in
yes.
Yeah.
I sit out there with some of my absolute best friends in the community,
That's right.
And we swim and we play and we get on kayaks and belly acts and water wheels and pull them around. And some days the water's freezing and they let me know. Some days it's not, and they let me know. We all have fun.
This is another PSA to the community that I cannot control the temperature of the water at Russell Sims. I am sorry.
In case
if it's
we need
cold,
a
it's
reminder.
cold. If it's warm, it's warm.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
I'm going to piggyback on that and say the same for the ice rink. I do not control
That's
the weather.
Yeah.
The ice will be what it is.
That's
Thank you.
right.
But yeah, we had a blast at every single one of those adaptive swims. Thank you so much for organizing that.
No, the adaptive water sports has been awesome. I can remember back during COVID, us doing the first promotional video, and it was Frazier, I think one of our longtime adaptive participants, but then Chris and Maddie did the video together, and that was really cool. Masks and all in the video.
I think we did, yeah.
So that's been a super fun program for us. Just endless amounts of really cool opportunities to see people be out on the water for maybe the first time. And again, another magical moment.
Yes.
And just endless magical moments. And one of the last things I'll share, Chris has mentioned, some other things, the Bambino Baseball League that, they've been able to start with some really cool volunteers and parents that have brought that league to life. Both of us get to be a part of that out at Fillmore Park. Definitely impacting and influencing planning for the future, I think, for both of our departments, whether it's programming or facilities. But then another neat thing that I really want the community to know about our partnership is we've come to the table. It's been a few years in the making. We've got this new Parkable initiative that is kind of our formal conjoined effort between our two departments to just say, hey, we don't want there to be any barriers. Nothing that prevents anyone from our community for any reason or disability from enjoying parks and recreation. And so really what this Parkable initiative is our way of saying, hey, we're going to come to the table together always and plan new programs, plan new opportunities, plan new facilities, whatever it may be, making sure that all of our parks have the little touches and the big touches of accessibility, of inclusion for people with disabilities. And so super excited to really see that initiative come to fruition, whether it's opportunities for us to put communication stations at all of our playgrounds so that those with communication differences can still communicate freely with those around them and express their needs, wants, and desires when it comes to play. Whether it's, updates in our parks for those with low or no vision, anything, new programs to reach different sectors of our community. The groups that we work with, like Med Center Health Adult Day, the Buddy House in Down Syndrome of Southern Kentucky, come to us and say, hey, we really want to, have this new opportunity to do this. And we're like, know what? We're going to come to the table and we'll figure it out. Make it happen. And so the Parkable initiative is is going to be, something for the community to be a part of and be at the table with us as we, again, make sure there's no barriers to play here in Bowling Green and Warren County. So anybody have any thoughts on the Parkable initiative and what that means for our departments?
I think it's just another example of a collaborative effort to really kind of showcase what we can do jointly together with the resources that we have within our two departments. I think on the county side, as we've kind of talked about, there's some things that we're going to try to do infrastructure-wise to really help out with that accessibility. That's one of the reasons that we're kind of doing our strategic plan, and it's I know Cameron, we've talked about that, just how cool it is that we've got multiple city, county kind of sponsored plans going on in and around that same 12-month period to be able to really give some cool insight into what the community, one, wants, but then two, really kind of give us kind of a roadmap of what we need to do to make sure that we are reaching and serving everyone at every level. And so I think also our commitment to meet, quarterly or more frequently to discuss, partnered programs and areas where we can kind of help each other. If one organization may have a resource and the other organization doesn't have that resource, and how can we work together to provide that? I think those are some great opportunities that I think are going to come out of the Parkable initiative. And I think it also just showcases that commitment that even if it can't happen right yet, there is some strategic thought that's going into, what it's going to look like and what we can do once those strategic times come. And so I think that's really important too, is
Absolutely.
to be able.
These partnerships are key. I mean, collaboration is key. We love having you guys in the health department and library and you name it. We get things done, and especially for this population, it's so deserving.
Absolutely. Kind of putting a bow on it. The community again should know it's not just Warren County and city parks coming to the table together. When we plan a lot of these events, there is such a spirit of collaboration in our community when it comes to reaching folks, and whether that's at the lowest level or the highest level of things like Harvest Fest and Downtown Lights Up. All of us are at that table together because we all want to make sure that Bowling Green and Warren County is the best place to live, work, and play, and we're all so committed to that we just hope that the community sees that. It's a blessing. We get to do this every day, and it's huge. So we'll put a bow on this. This has been fantastic. I have absolutely
and we
loved
could
this,
do 10 more.
this
You're absolutely
episode
right.
with you guys.
Let's do it.
We could do these conversations all the time. Me and Chris have joked before about like a monthly segment with the news. I think Chris maybe used to do that at some point.
Man, we're not going to talk about it. We were on public access for years.
There we go.
We came in right after Backyard Wrestling, and like Phil and I, we had this ongoing show that we did for years, and it was kind of like, I think it was like maybe the viewership was not the best, but it was kind of like a cult classic. And Phil and I did it for. We had inline hockey skating going on. We had crazy stuff in the studio. I don't know how we were able. I don't even know how we were allowed to even do.
What was it called? Did it have a name?
It was just the Warren County Parks and Rec monthly update.
There we go.
It was something kind of.
I think we need to give it a
find
new
that.
name, and we need to bring it back.
Yes.
We even had boxing at one point. We had like a professional UFC fighter come in and show off moves.
That's great.
It was just crazy.
So this is a public call out to our friends at WNKY, WBKO, WKU PBS. Anybody that wants to sign us for a monthly show, we're available, and we will make it happen. And I promise it will bring viewers to your network, at least one.
And also look into bringing back that backyard wrestling we just heard about. That sounded great.
Yeah, we'll have to run that by safety, Dave. I don't know if he'll be for that. But
Actually, our
funny.
show actually outlasted Backyard Wrestling. I don't know why, but I think there may be some liability concerns. But
Maybe.
Yeah, this is great.
we were the only
It
slot.
was a little under the table. Yeah.
If you were up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, like we were crushing it out, and then if you were viewing at like 3:30 on Thursday afternoon on public access, we were crushing it.
If it was me, I would probably wake up at 2 just to watch
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love it. So let's just leave. If you all could give your minute, 30-second elevator pitch. You're stuck in an elevator with a community member, and your job is to convince them why Parks and Rec is essential for the livelihood of a community. What would you tell them? Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in. It's joy, it's happiness, it's the ability to breathe, the ability to enjoy recreational activities and enhance your quality of life, to be able to have that experience that makes you feel good. And it's whatever on an individual level makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
And come out to the park, walk, jog, breathe, take in a beautiful sight, look at the beautiful leaves. If you want to get more involved and go crazy with one of our league activities, sports, special events, tournaments, we're a one-stop shop to fun. So if you're looking for fun, we got plenty of it to offer. It's affordable, it's in your backyard, it's accessible, and we're ready to play. And so our mantra is come and play, and we're ready to play all day. So
Yes.
I love that.
Isn't
Ready
it
to
good?
play all day. There we go. All right, Ryan.
I'll jump in. Let me get my minute 30 for some hippie philosophy. So we all have one human life, and we have one human body we're each issued, and we got to take care of it. So the physical needs are there, of course, but at Parks and Rec, both of our departments, any Parks and Rec department, we're touching everything. It's the one-stop shop Chris just talked about, the physical, the mental, the emotional. We've got it all. If you want to just play passively, you want to go for a walk, you want to play a sport, we've got it. Any and all physical, cognitive abilities. Come and play with us.
Love it. I love it. Maddie.
We have a saying in our rec division that we strive to create joy, opportunity, and connection for all through recreation. And that is what we try to do.
Amen.
For anybody, any person off the street, any person from out of town, we want to connect with them. We want to create joy for them, even if it's just they pass by accidentally for Duncan Hines Days or Harvest Fest. We create joy for them. We create opportunity. We create ways for them to connect with others. We create ways for people to connect within recreation and everything that we offer.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I
That's
love
us. We're
it.
joy creators. New
100%.
cards for everybody.
100%. Yeah, and I would just say, echoing what you all said, I learned this years ago from my mother and my grandfather, but we serve sacrificially, right? It's not our needs. It's the community's needs. It's the people that we serve. We love relentlessly because, again, what I learned from them the most is that we love people well through recreation. And then we play harmoniously. And my favorite thing about that is this idea that play, like the universal language of play and of a smile, like there's no barriers. There's no walls there. You go to a playground and there's no barriers. Like there's no barriers to friendship, connection. When you look at somebody across from you, no matter what differences they may have, when you see them enjoying play and smiling through play and having that genuine joy that we're talking about, you realize that all of us are in the same boat. We're all together, and so there's nothing that brings people to the table together more than parks and recreation and play. And so huge blessing to be able to work in this field. Thank you to everybody who joined us on this episode. You guys are fantastic. Chris,
Yes.
Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for, personally for your mentorship, your friendship. It's an honor. I have to find myself, it's amazing, thinking back to our families and us being able to do this together now. And it's amazing. Just a huge blessing to be a part of that story. Ryan, it's an honor to serve alongside you. We have so much fun together, man.
Totally.
And I have an immense amount of appreciation for the work and passion that you bring to the field. And Maddie, you show up every day and you bring a lot of passion to what you do and just a lot of service towards the folks that you do. So it's an honor to work alongside each of you. Definitely an honor to be on the airwaves with you. So we appreciate our county folks
Thank
coming
you.
over to City Hall.
Thanks for letting us be here. Thanks
yeah.
for letting us be here.
Yeah, it's been a blast. We'll do this again. This has been a lot
better.
of fun. So thank you to the listener. Thank you to the community for being a part of this episode. Another episode of the TalkBGKY podcast, the official podcast for the city of Bowling Green. Parks and Rec episodes are the fun ones. So we hope you listen to this. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next time at the park.